Alright, so basic tutorials about getting stuff in from Maya into Unreal. So I have this goofy little animation thing that I did. Um, very, very strange for when I was back in college. I want to disclaimer this that I am still fairly gosh darn new to Unreal. So some of this may or may not end super great. Some of this might not be the best way to do things, but it's the best way that I've figured out sort of how to brute force work with things to this point. So, the first thing is I'm just going to sort of start with the environment, and I'll show you a few different ways to do this and sort of problems that come with each different sort of way. So first of all, I'm just going to select everything, not including the mesh for this little sack dude. Do File, Export Selection, and we can do either an FBX or an OBJ. I found that both actually work fine for this. I'm just going to do FBX since I happen to have it up. So in this case, I really don't need like this or this checked. I'm just going to leave it there. There's no animation in this. Actually, no, I lied. There is sort of some animation in this. In the lid, I'm going to ignore that for now. So there's no animation. I'm going to uncheck that. And then embed media is if you want it to pull your textures over. Honestly, I found this works better with OBJ for some reason for me. But we'll come back to that later. And then scale factor, I find that setting to automatic at least makes it show up in your scene in Unreal. I spent about 5 hours this morning, like, about to throw my computer against a wall because I was like, it's not importing my meshes! Rage! And it turns out that it was importing them the whole time. I just needed to scale them up like 100% in Unreal. Really salty about the whole thing. It was very strange. Anyway, this fixes most of my scale issues, so I just haven't had to worry about that. You can set your up axis. Probably don't worry about that. Just leave it as Y for now. It should be fine. FBX format, I also wouldn't worry too much about that, but I'll just sort of leave it like this. So we do I'll separate. Alright. So it's going to go through, probably flash some warnings. Ignore that, it's fine. We're going to pop into Unreal, and I am going to start a new project because this one is an abomination. I'm just going to go ahead and I don't know if there's a better one to choose, honestly. I choose blank for pretty much everything. I just sort of left this off. It was off by default, so I kind of left it off. Shrugs. I did tick off the no starter content. I found that when I included the starter content, since it was on by default, it took like an hour to load a bunch of random crap that I wasn't going to use, so I turned that off. Turns out I really don't like that. But anywho, I'm just going to call this video tutorial test. Great. And I'm going to go ahead and make that project. Sure, actually no, I don't need to save this because I have done everything with that. It's probably going to break Unreal for like 2 minutes and then make me restart it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan of the Unreal engine here, but that's the basic sort of setting up of a project. It does, like I said, pretty much the game option gives you a few additional prompts in terms of like the blueprint, which is some weird thing to do with animations and turntables. I haven't looked into that super a lot. And it gives you some other miscellaneous options for like game controllers and stuff, what you don't get on video, but again, I'm usually just starting with, okay, so I'm going to grab this dude to open project, and it should pull up with pretty much nothing in the scene. So anywho, I don't remember what I was talking about beforehand, sorry. Alright, so very quick and wonky overview of this. These are sort of like different, this is like your lighting tab, your rigging tab, whatever in Maya. That's kind of like how I interpret this. Things that are kind of commonly used, generic file menu, stuff you can throw into scene, like default things. If you go on lights, it gives you like these. This is the sort of world outliner. It's the outliner in what is this? Unreal? I keep trying to say Unity. This, once you have stuff in your scene, will give you some more details about your objects. It's kind of like your channel box attribute editor. And then this is the giant abomination where all of your stuff is stored, and it makes me sad. So anywho, gonna right click in here and do import to your project folder. The folder structure will change. So find wherever you stashed your things. That's not what I was doing. Tutorial versions. Alright, so I'm gonna grab this, click it, it's going to bring up some of this stuff, so we pretty much don't need to worry about a lot of this. So I'm going to leave all of these the same as they are. Still trying to work on the material settings for now, just kind of do whatever. I'm going to go ahead and import that. And what this has done, you will notice in Maya that all of these objects are different pieces of geometry. These aren't even connected, they're just parented together. So this is all separate. And I tried to import this into Unreal, and it did a thing that made me very sad, and this is that thing that made me very sad, where it imported literally every single piece of geometry separate, and I'm like, wow, that's really hard to look at. And you can throw them all into the scene, like such. It's just, what are you doing? I don't care if the lighting needs to be rebuilt. Oh, it's gonna be doing that thing where it compiles shaders for like the next 10 minutes. Alright, so there is one setting I'm going to change really quick, and that is the, shoot, where am I going? Project settings? No, it's the other settings thing. Nope. Alright, so, wait. Yes, okay, sorry. Wrong settings box. So edit, editor preferences? Ah, yes, that makes sense. And then I'm going to go down to viewports under level editor, and I'm going to check this invert middle mouse pan. It just makes it slightly, when you pan, it behaves a little bit more like Maya, and that just makes me happy because, like, I don't know, do too many stupid softwares, too many stupid navs, and it drives me nuts. All right, so here's the scene, and again, you can see that it's put a bunch of everything in the scene. It is properly laid out, but there's a few problems. One, this annoys me on an editor level. Y'all can do whatever you want. I'm going to show you a dumb fix for this, a quote-unquote fix. I could also organize this with folders, but the other thing that I noticed, which kind of annoyed me, is that, like, if I click one of these things, if I click this, I can drag it anywhere in my scene, which is fine and dandy, but like if I'm trying to get everything into Maya and make sure that everything lines up like it does in Maya, the fact that I can just sort of drag this randomly and put it down isn't super helpful. And then when I go into, you can see that now there's like actual attributes and stuff in here. If I go and I zero this out, the lag is real. The lag is real. All right. So F should zoom you in. Cool. So F will zoom in your focus. Sorry for the flickering. I'll fix that in a sec. It's so awkward. Okay. It's going to take everything back to the origin. So like if I click this and I zero this out, it's going to, again, snap it to the origin regardless of where it was in your Maya scene. So that's not ideal. I'll show you sort of how I like to import stuff. I'm also incidentally going to turn off this god-awful floor line thing in the outliner because it's making me sad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to delete all the stuff I just put in because nobody wants 8,000 pieces of handles in there. So I'm going to delete them. It's going to be like blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to be like, great, force delete, death. And well, it's casually doing that. So this is what I've found to be a convenient way to fix the zeroing issue. And this is, honestly, I don't like this as a solution. It makes it harder to do things in Maya to a certain extent. But what you can do, again, with the exception of the sack because it's animated, is just go ahead and freeze the transformations on everything. Actually, I'm not even going to use the cameras. So my work, I have had issues getting the cameras in. There are ways to do it. I have not managed to get any of them to work. So I would just recommend, like I said, there's like 8 billion tutorials. They all go over the same thing. If they work for you, amazing, do that. But do some crappy test animations in Maya and then see if you can get those transferred onto an Unreal camera. And if you can't, just do the cameras in Unreal. That is my janky workaround for now. So anyway, freeze transformations on these. I feel like this is going to be my P cube. Where are we going? Yep, that was one of my P cubes. Alright. Okay. So this is going to be even more annoying than previously. So what I'm going to do is, actually, great. I'm going to go ahead and select all of these stupid handles individually, which is going to suck. Actually, you know what, I can do this better. Optimizing my selecting habits. Alright. Sweet delights. And I'm just going to go ahead and mesh combine these. Incidentally, this will also zero their translations. So I'm just going to call this handles. And that I'm just leaving separately because I want it to be a separate material. So I'm going to go through and just grab all the cabinets. Oh, I lost some handles. I don't care. Obviously, if you're doing this for realsies, you would, pay more attention to the fact that you've deselected a cabinet. But here we are. I'm going to leave the countertops separate. All right, so this is going to be, I'm going to merge these guys again, call these cabinets wood, and I will do the countertops also separately. Countertops. And the trash can is going to yell at me because that's keyframes. So I'm actually just going to ignore the trash can for now, whatever. Alright, and then the walls. I'm just going to make the ceiling the same color. What the heck? Walls. And floor. Alright, I'm actually do the blender thing. Alright, so I'm just going to be really lazy with the blender. And you can totally apply multiple materials to the same objects. So anywho, again, I'm just going to make sure that the floor is zeroed, and that should be everything in the scene. So if I grab that, it should select all the geometry that's not the sack and the trash can, which I'm shamelessly ignoring for now. And what I'm going to do is I will do the same FBX export that I did before. So I'm going to do export selection and all combined. And what this is going to do, when we hopefully pull this into an Unreal scene that hasn't exploded, so I'm going to go content browser. This is the sort of like camera editor thing. I will show you that later. But content browser is where you have all your stuff. So I'm going to do, again, right click, import. Oh, sweet goodness, it's going to make me go through the things again. Alright, and all combined. Same settings as last time. Run the import. And then you wait. Alright. So this has given us no messages. That is the first time that has ever happened to me. Oh, more messages. Okay, great. Alright, so now you can see we have all, instead of like 8,000 bajillion different handles, we have everything sort of separately. Were you so inclined, you could totally throw all of these in to a single object. I've done that before. I just figured I'd leave them separate. It would make them a little bit easier to select if for some reason I needed to. I will F to center my viewpoint. And at this point, you'll notice again, so like we dragged everything around and like I just want this where it was in Maya. So what I'm going to do is go through and zero out all of these objects. And I made my scene woefully off-center, but you can see that now all of these individual pieces are zeroed and they're still in the correct place and not floating around on the origin. So that, in this case, is what I wanted. And just for grins, I'm going to delete these one more time. And then I'll just show you the OBJ export, because it's pretty much the same dealio. So, we go. Export selection, and instead of FBX, we select OBJ. Actually, quick tidbit, if you can't find the FBX, go into Windows, Settings and Preferences, and Plugin Manager. And once you're in the Plugin Manager, you're going to want to search for FBX. That should pull this up. Tick it on if it's not already ticked on. Also, actually, I have had very mixed results for this, but this is actually a thing where you can theoretically send things directly to Unreal. I have not managed to make it work properly. It just sort of doesn't find the files. Also, this tends to be more robust, and it's just, you then have the FBXs for eternity. You don't need to like rely on some weird FBX export send to Unreal that might not be supported. Anywho, so this is the one you actually want to tick for the export selection. There is, like I said with the other one, you do have the option to send to Unreal or send to Unity. Like I said, I didn't have great luck with these. You can also use the game exporter. And I'll go over that for animation. That's more... Honestly, I've not found a difference between that and just a regular export FBX. It just has a slightly different menu layout. But anywho. So I was saying, go to export selection, sorry for the OBJs, and then go in, OBJ. You just want to tick, if you want the materials to transfer over, click on for this. Anything, it'll save some stuff. For this, you probably don't need smoothing, so like I could turn that off. I'm going to leave it on just because I do use it for other stuff. But all you really need to worry about is materials if you care about those. I'm going to say int all combined. And this will be do. And again, we go ahead and we right-click this, and we see this lovely little OBJ file. So you click it. Click the button. Brings up the same menus as before. So we're going to go ahead and load that for a third time. It's actually like my 7th time because I did this 80 times earlier and it was really fun. I also recorded most of this video without realizing that it wasn't capturing my screen, so that was even more fun. Stream deja vu. Alright. So again, see pretty much the same difference as before. The only difference with the OBJ, and this is why a lot of times I actually just do FBXs because I'm lazy, is it imports the scene sideways. So you can totally go through and flip this back to, you just gotta sort of try some different axes and like figure out what's going on. But honestly, this is usually why I just stick to the FBXs because it brings it in the appropriate location. But since I have this here, I'm going to go ahead and use it, gosh darn it. And you can see again that we have, you know, this goofy little seed. It does, for some reason, appear to be much blacker this time, and I'm not entirely sure why, but it's there. We can fix that later. Alright, so that is importing... Oh yeah, it's also weird when you... I'm still trying to figure out exactly how this viewport works, I'm not going to lie. But when you zoom in, it's like, oh, this is really dark, let me brighten it for your viewing convenience. And I was like, well, that is very convenient, but also I can't tell what my lighting is doing, so... Anyway, but that is importing your environment. I will go over materials and all of that stuff in another video. Next, I will show you how to drag in your animations, kicking and screaming, into this game engine.